we'll have a big segment on it. But as you well know, 20 minutes before the hour, we have our guest. Now, what did I tell you what to do? What was the homework? wbnf.net. Because we have in the studio today the great story. And this is one of the coolest stories. I mean, it's even cooler than Danny Vegas. That's how cool this story is. I mean, because every business has a story. Every business has a moment where it just all comes clear. The idea, how it works. I told this story many times before. Sears and Roebuck started with 18 pocket watches in Minnesota, okay? The guy went in, he worked in the train, went in. The store didn't want to buy the watches from the merchant, so the guy goes, I'll buy the watches, and he went back to the railroad to sell the watches to his friends, sold them so fast he went and got more watches. 120 years later, Sears and Roebuck.
Oh, yeah.
That's how that started. So, go ahead. Laura, why don't you introduce our guests?
You know what? We are so excited today.
We're so excited.
We have Jody and Steve McCransky from wornbutnotforgotten.net.
Yes.
So happy to have you guys here.
Right. Now, before and I've heard the story before, but I want to get them going on the story. But I want you to tell you, before we get started on this, that this is the coolest thing. It is one of the ultimate gifts idea ever in the history of the planet. I am telling you, and I'm not just throwing it out there. When I saw this 3 years ago, I was just like, oh, that is so cool. So basically, my friend, tell us what you got. We'll do our best to try to, I know we're on the radio, and we'll do our best to try to describe it, but fire away.
Danny, Laura, thanks for having Jody and I on today. We appreciate it. Worn But Not Forgotten is an idea that started 5 years ago, and it started in a very crazy way. I am someone that actually helps out with the laundry, okay? Oh. Most men don't, but I do.
That is awesome, Steve.
I have to do my own laundry because my wife won't do my laundry. So I know what you're going through. Yeah, okay.
I was folding a bunch of T-shirts on the bed about to put in my closet.
Right. Now, you had a collection.
I had a collection of T-shirts. I'm a huge sports fan. I'm from Philadelphia. And I guess that week, I had worn all of my Philadelphia team T-shirts, the Flyers, the Sixers, the Eagles, the Phillies. And as I'm folding all my laundry and there are my T-shirts, there I saw all of my teams stacked one on top of another. Right. Now, we all have old T-shirts that we've washed and worn 1,000 times.
Right.
They're our favorite ones. They're thin. They might be ripped. The ink is crackled. They might not fit as great as they used to.
Oh, that's a fact.
But those are the ones that you simply can't part with. There were all my 4 teams stacked one on top of another, and I saw this fantastic visual. It was like my childhood was right in front of me. My father took me to all the games with all the teams when I was a little kid. So having an art background, I took out my camera, I zoomed in close, and I took a picture of my T-shirts.
Speaking to the microphone.
Okay. At that point, I knew I had a great shot. I made some small prints, and I sent them in a holiday card back to all my friends in Philadelphia. And the responses that I got from them were just absolutely incredible. This is great. We're going to get a little frame for it and put it right up. I love it. It's going to go on the refrigerator door, and many other comments like that. So it made me think, okay, we have an idea here. The old, retro, worn-in feeling of those old shirts that we all have or used to have.
We used to have.
Okay.
I'm looking at the Charger that you sent me, and I can specifically remember every single one of these Charger T-shirts. And here they are, put in a beautiful picture of a San Diego. And if you're a Charger fan, you're going nuts. You are going to freak when you see this.
So this original idea started 5 years ago, and it just blossomed. I acquired shirts from other teams and other cities. So we suddenly had Philadelphia, Chicago, Boston, New York, Detroit, started a website. Then we started getting some orders and requests from customers. Well, I'm from Philadelphia, Steve, but I really only like the Phillies. Do you have something that's just the Phillies? So we then started doing individual teams. Then, of course, we got asked about colleges. Okay, I went to Syracuse University. The first college I had was Syracuse. But then all of a sudden, someone wants Colorado State. If they want Alabama, someone else wants Auburn. And so the business has blossomed into over 300 images featuring cities, teams, and colleges. And again, if you can use your imagination, imagine in your closet, if you're a Chicago Bears fan, you have 3 Chicago Bears t-shirts just simply stacked in a row, one on top of the other, amongst all your other shirts. But imagine they're folded so perfectly that the 3 shirts actually made the Chicago Bears helmet with the little C in the middle. So I basically see design, see art in old team t-shirts.
Yes, and I like that, and this is one of the reasons why I wanted everybody to go to this website before the guest came on, so that you have an idea. Because until you see this, probably for the first time, and everybody has a favorite team: New York Giants, New York Yankees. I was telling a story about I knew a lady who, and I was in the private aviation industry. She runs Elite Traveler magazine. She lives in New York, and I knew her birthday was coming up, so I ordered a New York Yankee, exactly this T-shirt, retro Yankee piece of work of art, sent it to her, and she just freaked out. She goes, "Oh, I'm having this framed, and I am putting it on the wall." So
well, the
right
best
now,
part of it is that it's so original. You can't get this anywhere else. I mean, I think it's great. I bought the Yankee one for my dad. My son also has the Yankees one hanging in his room, and every time people come over, they comment on it because they've never seen it before.
Well, one of the interesting things about it is because the shirts that I'm photographing are old school, the images harken back to days gone by, but they're still of today. So, many people might know the Red Sox were kind of the lovable losers for a century, and then all of a sudden they got good, and they won a couple World Series within, 5 or 6 years. So this is a piece of artwork that not only talks to the fan that kind of became a Red Sox fan as they got good, but it speaks to that person that has been a Red Sox fan their whole life, maybe because their father was a Red Sox fan, maybe they were born and raised in Boston. There's just something heartfelt to each piece. I take a lot of pride in making each visual perfect. I hand sign every piece, and I spend days, weeks, sometimes months looking for that perfect shirt with the perfect material, with the perfect section of what I'm looking for, so that the entire image matches up, and they're really just one of a kind and very unique.
it is without a doubt, and I'm going to say this right now, it's the most unique gift I've ever seen in my life.
I love it when I walk into places like Bagel Cafe and Coffee Bean and I see them hanging up. I just, it makes me so happy because really I think they should be in every sports bar around the whole country.
I
can't believe they're not.
I can't believe they're not.
No, they actually have been, and some have been stolen.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised because it's just a wonderful, wonderful gift. If you're a sports fan, like I said, you branched out, man. I mean, every time there's a sports something going on, there's the email with like, okay, these two teams are in the playoffs. So
I know
the
the Facebook posts are awesome. I always know who's playing. I should be. I should have looked at that when you challenged me on who's playing in the Super Bowl, Danny.
Yeah, which you did not know.
I knew the Giants were playing.
Yeah,
I've always believed that art, and more specifically photography, is really about seeing something different. And executing it differently than other people do. So again, there's just something about these that they just seem to really connect with people. Not just the visual, but because people either have or remember these T-shirts and these designs, and it just clicks with people.
It does. And here's something that you have to really think about. Okay, to get these T-shirts, okay, you could probably go to San Diego and search about 1,000 garage sales, and you might find one.
Maybe.
If
you're lucky.
And the fact that this gentleman, Steve's collection, has all these shirts from colleges, hockey, football, baseball, just the fact that the collections itself, it makes it even more special because no one would have to spend probably a lifetime to do this.
I spend hours and, like I said, weeks, sometimes months looking for the perfect shirt. I might have two that make 2/3 of the design, but I need the third to really complete it. And if I don't find the shirt I'm looking for, I will wait until I do. One other thing I thought I'd mention, we do custom orders.
Okay.
You know, there might be somebody that likes the San Diego Chargers, the Minnesota Timberwolves, and the Miami Marlins. Well, where are they going to ever find anything that has all of their teams in it? They won't. But because I have such an inventory, probably about 1,000 T-shirts right now, I can create an image specifically for them. I charge a little more, but it's just so unique, and we get great emails from our customers as thank yous for all the images, but certainly the custom ones.
Let me tell you, and this is a business show, I think.
I think so.
I think we're a business show. We are a business chamber, and if you're looking for an icebreaker, if you're looking for something like, okay, I got a client coming in town, I found out that this person is a fanatic Los Angeles Kings hockey fan, and you're going to basically be spending a few hours with this potential huge customer. I'm going to tell you what. I'll tell you what right now. You get them one of these gifts. You get them one of these. They will be your customers for life. And that is no bull, because this thing is so unique. And I'm so amped up about it because I love it.
I love them too.
And I loved it 3 years ago. I think I didn't meet Steve, but I met Jody. I think it was at the Texas station. They had her jammed back here in the corner.
Oh, no.
And she was sitting back there with their warm and not forgotten stuff. And I just loved it. And ever since that night at the Texas station, you're at some expo. I remember that. Yep. And I'm like, wow, this is really cool. So as I got more networked around, I discovered other people that knew Steve and Jody. I'm like, oh, I know about this. And, there's a whole fans out here. There's a lot of fans out here. And I love it. And if you're out there listening and you're like, man, I've got to check this out. I've got to get me one of those, not only for myself, but like I said, you got a great client or you have a great customer, someone who's basically a great customer. You know what? Basically, great customer. You actually didn't ask for a discount or didn't ask me to do it for free. And he cut me a check and I loved it. You know what? I'm going to go to Warm But Not Forgotten's website, and I'm going to pick him up because I know he likes the Raiders.
Yeah, it's a great gift. And thank you, Steve and Jody, because Steve and Jody actually brought prints in for Danny and I today.
Yes, man, look at this. I'm like a punk in boot camp right now.
Okay, and my dad is a huge New York Giants fan, and this is so awesome. My dad's going to love this.
Yeah, so it's very, very cool. Mr. Kitts is out there. I could feel the vibe right now. So other than that, how do people get a hold of you? I know you got the short version of the website, what we've been saying, because I know there's the big, long Scrabble one that you can get 1,000,000 points with. So we're focusing on the short version.
Okay, wbnf.net is where you can find us.
Right.
All 300-plus images are online. There's also a contact button on there that you can email us directly with a request or a question. And I should say that my silent partner sitting next to me here.
Yes, I was going to say something.
I know very well it is not normally so silent.
I may have been the brainchild between the brainchild of the visual idea itself, but she is actually the one that came up with the name of the company, Worn But Not Forgotten.
You guys are a great team.
Yeah. So she's my better half, my business partner in this venture, and she has become quite the sports fanatic since I have met her, and it's nice to see.
Well, why don't you swing that microphone over just a little bit? Get up in there. All right, Jody. I have a wife too. Yeah, and I run a business, and like any business, it has to get started. It has to go through the pains. When Steve came up and says, hey, I want to do this as a business. I think this is a winner. I mean, was there like a little bit of an eyebrows like, okay, all right, okay, do what you want, or was it were you just like, you know, I believe in it too, and here we go?
It was really the second part. It was the latter. Steve being such a huge sports fan and having grown up in it, you'd be surprised. I mean, we'll be in the car and he'll have sports radio on, and he's always got sports radio on, and the guys will be talking, and Steve will actually say something, and it's almost like the guy heard him and is repeating what Steve just said because he's so plugged into the sports world and always has been. It was such a perfect fit for him, knowing that he has this long time history of art in his life, and then just it was a perfect marriage between sports and art. There was no question that this was a really cool thing for him to pursue.
Right.
And of course, I was 100% behind him because I know some of the stuff that he doesn't know. He knows some of the stuff that I don't know. So we really work very well together in the business.
Well, that's very cool, and that's very important, you know, and, you know, Danny Vegas has come a long way from the very beginning, you know, and my story is a little bit more complex than that, you know, getting called in the GM's office and getting fired because it's either Danny Vegas or it's us, and it's like, what are you talking about?
I'm so glad you chose Danny Vegas.
Yeah, well, I didn't choose it. It was kind of handed to me as they, you know, handed me my hat and showed me the door. But, you know, I think whys are very important, Steve. I mean, I say it every week.
Yes, you do.
And I don't know if my wife could hear it every week because, you know, we've been on the radio now for 6 weeks, so it's not so new anymore. But I give all the credence to her, man. If it wasn't for my wife, there's no doubt we would not be here today.
Absolutely.
And I love her to death. And she's a little bit sick today, so she didn't go to work. So maybe she gets to listen to the show instead of running around, picking up kids and running around crazy and trying to get to work. So
Oh, feel better, Mari.
yeah, Mari's a great guy. I love her to death. So I was just curious about that because, you know, Danny Vegas it's eating chicken or eating feathers, man. You know, you're either king of the world or on suicide watch, and you're just, you know, your wife's like, you know, I just saw a help wanted sign down at the gas station.
Have you been at our house? Because it sounds very familiar.
Oh, yeah. I'm telling you, man, I know exactly what it's like. It's kind of like, oh, wow. That didn't work out. You
Well,
know, so.
I think there's something to be said about having the opportunity to pursue your passion. And I think that one thing that I think Steve sees, and maybe you do every once in a while, Danny, is when one door closes, another one opens with the opportunity that you really should have been pursuing all along.
Well, that's true.
And
yes.
and I think Steve has had the chance to really be able to do that, and Laura too. You know,
That's very cool.
you guys are all in a world where you can do that, which is wonderful.
Wow. What
Thank
a
you
great ending.
so much.
I'm kind of tingling. What a great story.
I'm sorry.
I love the fact that we have people on here all the time like us where I make my living talking. But these folks actually make a product and actually sell it. And to
what
me,
a great product
yeah,
it
and
is.
to me, those folks that do that, like working girls, they
Yeah.
deserve a
Kudos.
little bit higher praise because that's a
Agreed.
little bit different nut than just coming and talking on the radio every week to the world. I love it. Lynn Connell, you didn't